name's Alicia Gyro, and this is the question of the day. The question of the day comes from Nona in Freeport, Texas, and she asks a simple question: what's the best way to sleep? Okay, let's talk about sleeping positions and why they're so important. If you're working your body all day and then you go to bed and your body is working harder than it should while you're sleeping too, then when is your body ever going to get the rest it needs? Your body repairs itself overnight, and it really should be in a relaxed position so that it can do the repairing. So the $1,000,000 question is, Alicia Gyro, what do you think is the best sleeping position? And I do have a very strong opinion, although, there are lots of cases where you have to sort of make things work. But my personal favorite, for a lot of different reasons, is sleeping on your back. When you're on your back, you don't put as much pressure on your shoulders. You don't put pressure on your hips, which are the two big pain generators when you sleep, and your low back. And people who sleep on their low back people who sleep on their back or try to sleep on their back and their back hurts, it's sometimes because the weight of their legs are pressing into the bed. And if you lift your knees with a pillow thinking that you're unweighting your back, you might be in the short term, but then over time you get this pivoting force where the feet and the knees, from the knees to the feet, press into the bed, and then it lifts and tugs on your pelvis. So that is usually where you get some of the muscle spasming from in the middle of the night over time. If you have tried to sleep on your back and you can't because your back starts to hurt and cramp, the fix usually is if you take a couple of pillows, put them under your knees like you've been doing, and then add another pillow under your calf to where your heels are not touching the bed. And you will very likely find that you can tolerate that position a little bit better. Now, when you're on your back and your feet are up and your heels are off the bed, you can still kind of sleep on your side, and then you will trick your brain. Sometimes it's a brain thing. Sometimes the brain or the head or the inner ear really wants to be in a certain position, and until you give it what it wants, you're not going to just knock off and go to bed. So to trick your brain, what you're going to do is stay on your back. Your shoulder blades are going to stay on the bed, and you're just going to take your knees and tilt them to the right, and then you're going to kind of shift your hips and go to the right, and then you're just going to let your head turn to the right. Where you go wrong is when you turn onto your side and your shoulder is weighted onto the bed. The other top arm is either usually hanging over and bent, and then the other knee is hanging over. Even if you put a pillow between those knees, you still get this rotation at the hip because your feet are touching. So if you can get away with not stacking yourself on your side and just a little bit be on your side, then it's enough to satisfy your inner ear and you'll fall asleep. Okay, how sleeping can give you an injury. Okay, there's several. The first one, rotator cuff injury. When you are so let's say your right side. When you're on your right side, first of all, the weight is through your right shoulder, and you can give yourself some bursitis there. Bursitis is when the little sac of fluid that protects the bony parts of your body, it gets rubbed and pushed enough to where it activates it and it just swells full of fluid because it's trying to protect the bone from the injury. So that's bursitis. Same thing happens in your hip. If all of your weight is on your hip, and if your mattress is firm, even if you think you got a brand new mattress and it should be good, if you're getting that pain on the side you're laying on, it's typically bursitis or a muscle strain, and it's a sign that your body weight is too much for your hip. It doesn't matter what kind of mattress you're on, just that's what happens. So you can either get an egg crate or you can stop sleeping on your side. Okay, so the rotator cuff. The arm on top is usually the one Two, that can get aggravated because it's coming over your body. It's pulling the way the rotator cuff is situated. It just stretches over that joint and it can be pulled. And the same thing here. If your arm is tucked under and you're on it, that rotator cuff is being pulled and you're usually rotating your arm to have it here. I mean, you're not going to sleep like Reagan's dying. Okay. So that's usually how you get a rotator cuff injury when you sleep. Other injuries, hip bursitis, like I said, on the side you're sleeping on, and ding, 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 the side that's up. Because again, just like your shoulder, if your leg is hanging over, it's going to pull some tension from the tendon over the bony part. And anytime a bone feels force and pressure and tension, it's going to go bing, 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 and it's going to fill up with fluid, and it's going to be really tender to the touch because that's what your body does. It's a defense mechanism, these little pockets that are on your bones. So let's just say, Alicia, I position myself perfectly when I go to bed and I like to sleep on my side. And I don't think that my hip is hurting because of the way I sleep. Well, here's the thing. When you become unconscious, where are your checks and balances? Who is positioning or keeping you on your side? Nothing but gravity and pillows. And if you're moving around, it's super likely that the pillows are not going to stay, that your legs are going to end up in a position where there's tension. And until you start having pain, you're not going to wake up. You're not going to wake up and change your position. So if you sleep on your back, gravity is pulling you towards the bed, and you're just so much more likely to avoid straining tendons and muscles over these joints. I could go on and on forever. People who have knee replacements will feel those ligaments when they're on their sides. I guess that's all I have to say about that. If you find that you wake up in the middle of the night, and let's talk about the shoulders. If you find out you wake up in the middle of the night or in the morning and your shoulders are killing you, okay? It's shooting, you have pain shooting down your arm. Usually it's located, it'll get you right here if it's your rotator cuff, okay? What do you do? Well, the first thing you do is lay on your back and put your hands out like this, okay? If it hurts to do them straight like a T, you can bring them down, palm up. And just rest in bed like that, okay? Rest for, I don't know, hit the snooze button. Then I want you to roll over onto your stomach. And then I want you to put one arm kind of like this, turn your head, hit the snooze button. Then you're gonna do this, hit the snooze button, rest like this. And what this is doing is it's stretching your shoulder back because you've been sleeping like this. And it's rotating your shoulder, your rotator cuff in the opposite direction. It's giving it a little bit of a stretch. And so even if you aggravate your body, you can always unaggravate it. And these are the better ways to do that. If you're getting it right away and then you don't just wake up and just trudge through your day with this pain, and then the next night you do the same thing and then it gets worse and the tendons just get more and more angry with you, that's when you end up in physical therapy. If you wake up and you listen to your body, you're like, oh wow, this really hurting, and shooting down my arm. Put your body in the opposite positions that you ended up in all night, all curled up. Your body needs the yin and the yang. It needs to do the opposite of what it's been doing in order to stop hurting. And that is the easiest answer. Same thing for your hips. If you wake up and you touch your hip and it feels like you've been hit in the hip with a baseball bat, then you are going to, whatever position you're in, you can usually roll onto your back, because I'm telling you it's because you were on your side, and just stretch one leg out straight, let the other one sort of fall out like a frog, hit the snooze button. Then you're going to straighten out the other one, and guess what? Hit the snooze button with the left leg cocked out like a frog on that side. And then you can sort of bend your knees and turn those knees in, and just you can rotate your knees side to side, and that feels really good for your hips. But if you put your feet and knees wide while you're on your back and let that knee drop drop, drop. You'll really feel a different stretch in your groin and the front of your hip when you internally rotate your hip that way. And so just kind of move around. And it'll feel good. It'll get you to where when you step out of that bed, you don't feel nearly as old and painful as you did when you opened your eyes. I hope this helps, and I'll put some pictures in the comment section. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw today, subscribe to our YouTube channel and make some comments for us. Let us know we're doing a good job. Ask any questions you want. If you feel like this was good information, but there's just so much more to your problems, it's a good idea to either email us, call us at the number below, and we can do a one-on-one telehealth session with you if you live in the state of Louisiana. I hope this helps, and have a great day.